Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, brothers in arms, World of Warships, and today's video we're going to take a look at the Pensacola, the new Tier 6 American heavy cruiser. I'm divvied up with my friends the Island Sheep and Nievnichan, and they're playing in the Galissonière and Bouilloni respectively, the Tier 6 French light cruiser and Soviet light cruiser, and we're playing some domination here on the map Trident. Well, I suppose it really isn't too brand new of a heavy cruiser. You know, it's been in the game for a little bit now at Tier 6, and of course the Pensacola was Tier 7 for the longest time, ever since this game was back in open beta, at least, you know, some 2.5, 3 years ago now. So, yeah, the Pensacola has finally been moved to a more appropriate tier. Obviously, it's been around for a little bit now, and I wanted to get some gameplay for this ship. And I did have a video on the Pensacola about a week before it did become Tier 6. I'm going to provide to you the link to that video if you'd like to check out an amazing game that I had in it on New Dawn. You can find it below in the description. But this one you're going to see here is another excellent game, and it's going to showcase this ship in its new matchmaking spread. So the Pensacola, it changed a little bit. Some things stayed the same, some things got a little bit worse. And we're just going to quickly run down the changes that the ship got. And a couple of the noticeable things is, first of all, the turret traverse is much, much worse. The rotation speed is only 4 degrees a second, and for a 180-degree turn, it's 45 seconds. So this reminds me of the good old days playing ships like the York, where, you know, the turret traverse was just so abysmal. And, you know, I guess back in the day they considered it a balancing factor because the Pensacola does have a very meaty armament of 10 203mm guns. It's the most brutal firepower that you get on any American heavy cruiser, at least now, until you get to Tier 9 with the Buffalo. So, you know, this is a ship that can deal quite a bit of damage, especially with its AP round in a single broadside, and it's very Zao-like in that regard. It has very good burst damage, high alpha strike potential. The range on the guns, 15.6 kilometers, the reload 15 seconds. The reload didn't change, so at Tier 6, you know, this is still a rather long reload, but it's not really that bad because, again, just how hard these guns do punch. And another thing about the ship, the concealment. The concealment did take a big hit. Now, of course, a long time ago, this thing had concealment from space. I think it was like 15 point some kilometers where, you know, it was just so abysmal that you know, it eventually had to get buffed, and now the concealment is back up to a relatively pedestrian 12.1 kilometers. There are plenty of cruisers and battleships in your matchmaking spread that are able to outspot you. So while you don't go back to having absolutely abysmal concealment, it does take a little bit more getting used to, simply because it's, you know, 12.1 kilometers, and that's not particularly good. A couple battleships off the top of my head, the upcoming German Tier 6 premium battleship, the Untitled Chapter, is supposedly having a concealment that's below 11 kilometers, and, you know, it's kind of difficult to deal with. But this ship, you know, as long as you stay more at that medium to long range, you're going to be fine. The AA is still very potent on this ship. You get the nice collection of 127mm, 40mm, and 20mm Mark 19s, Bofors, and Orlikins, respectively. And with defensive fire, this ship is capable of setting up a nice AA Aurora. Of course, it doesn't have the best range on the guns as well, with a stocked range of only 4.2 kilometers for the 127s. The maneuverability, however, is still very good, especially for an American cruiser. You have a very good 7-second rudder shift time stock and a very small turning radius of 620 meters. And you're going to see that right here, as there are some torpedoes coming in from the Nicholas, and I'm easily able to squeeze my way in between the two torpedoes that are tracking just off my port and starboard stern, and I'm able to get out of the way of those bad boys before they do impact me. So you can see right there, it turns on a dime, and this ship is exceptionally well, it's exceptionally well off, I should say, at dodging enemy shells. So, that's the Pensacola in a nutshell. Looking at the gameplay right now, it's not looking so good for the team. We've lost 2 ships while the enemy team has lost a battleship. It's 296 to 440. Unfortunately, the enemy team has full control of B and C. Our entire team has basically clobbered up over here on the 5 and 6 line. So it's not looking too good right now positioning-wise, and the enemy team is also taking control of the A cap. So this game is going to get out of hand very, very quickly, and I'm going to have to, get myself in a much better position, as is the rest of our team. So we decided that since the enemy team kind of looks like, based off of last reported position, that they're moving back more towards the A and B side, that we're going to go try and take care of the C capture point. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, you can see here, I don't have Expert Marksman on this captain. I only have a 10-pointer in her, so it goes Priority Target, Adrenaline Rush, Superintendent, and Concealment, a pretty standard build. As that Nuremberg gets deleted out of the water by the Giulio Cesare. But, yeah, this ship... Total brain fart right there. Sorry about that, guys. I don't remember what I was talking about. Anyway, we're heading over to sea. Nice AP salvo right there into the New Mexico. You can see that if these AP rounds do manage to punch through the upper belt, above the belt, I should say, on battleships, they can do a very large amount of damage. And also with the high explosive shot as well. These are still 203mm guns, so you're going to overmatch a lot of the bow, stern, and deck armor that you find in your matchmaking spread. So it feels like these shells have IFHE for free, even though they don't. It's just because the penetration is so nice on these guns at 33mm, I believe. I know it's over 32. I don't remember the exact number. I think it's around 33. But anyway, very good penetration on the high explosive. And you can see that this New Mexico has taken quite a few meaty high explosive hits from me, as my shells have really impacted into the top part of his ship. So the game is continuing to get more out of hand, 331 to 573. They are in control of all three capture points, and now our team is kind of splitting up and figuring out what we're going to do here. The trio of us in the division and a couple of other friendlies are moving over towards C, whereas the rest of the fleet is moving over towards the A capture point. There is a Graf Spee on low health, and you can also see that there are some torpedo planes and some dive bombers coming in on our position. So at this point in time, it looks like that they're going to try to bring those, aircraft over us. So I am getting ready to drop here my defensive fire, and there we go. And you're going to see here just the power of the Pensacola's AA. Again, this is not even fully spec'd for anti-aircraft duties, and it's still going to knock quite a few of the planes out of the sky, and at the very least get the nice dispersion there on the drops. And I do manage to get the kill on the Graf Spee, and once again you can see that the rudder shift and the turning radius coming in handy, being able to easily maneuver between the very large gaps inside of those torpedo spreads. And you can see that I'm also up to about 10 planes shot down, as between the concentrated fire of Nevny-chan and myself, AA, we are able to take out quite a few of them. Now, unfortunately, I am providing a broadside to the enemy Huang He, who is in the smokescreen inside of the C-cap, and I do have to turn away, but I also have to turn broadside right now to the Texas. Now, you're going to see right here the Pensacola's armor, even down lower tier, it's still not very good. Right there, I took about 9,000 damage as the Huang He was able to get a couple of rear citadels right at the Y and the X turrets. So, the Pensacola is still as fragile as ever. It didn't receive any buff whatsoever to its armor layout, as it shouldn't. But yeah, this ship is still as fragile as ever, so, at this point, I'm down to 13,000 hit points as I do take an over-penetration there from the enemy Texas. So I got to be careful now because I'm down to about a third hit points, but now I'm going to continue to kite away and get rid of the distance from the Texas, so maybe he'll have better targets to shoot at that are a little closer. It sounds a little macabre, but, when you're on lower health in a cruiser, you do not want to be the one that is pushed forward the fullest, because they will, a smart enemy team that is, decide to shoot at you instead of your friendlies. So, we're trying to work down this enemy Texas still. He did use his damage control, so it's only a matter of time before another fire gets set on him, and he will kick the bucket. The enemy team has lost 3 ships now compared to R2, but they still own all 3 caps, and they have a very commanding lead of over 400 points. So, it's not really looking good still for us. And the first thing that we got to do is take out this enemy Texas over here. As soon as we can get this battleship off the flank, there we go. I do manage to get a fire on the midsection of his ship. As soon as we can get rid of this enemy Texas, then our flank will be secure, and we can finally start to apply some pressure on the B cap as well. My shells are going down range, and on 87 hit points, I managed to take care of that Tier 5 premium American battleship. You can also see that the enemy Congo that pushed in a little too far into the B cap is about to kick the bucket as well. And this is when the enemy team starts to begin a very large throw. They get all 3 capture points, and then they start pushing forward a little bit too forward. Wow, that was horrible English. They start to push forward a little too much, and also at the same time, they're starting to lose ships piecemeal because they're getting a little bit separated. So Unfortunately, right there, my buddy Nevny-chan does die from the Nicholas torpedoes. So now it's just myself and a friendly Alba over here in the vicinity of the C cap. However, I do need to get on the C point. There is no more time that I can dilly-dally around over here. So when my fighter plane comes back up, I'm probably going to toss it up in the air to see if I can get some vision over there on the Hwang Hei. And we'll see if the fighter does manage to do that. And I'm also going to get, like I said, onto the C objective. Now, you can also tell, based off of the minimap, that Nicholas's last reported position was in those two small islands that's just off of my bow. And indeed, that confirmation was given to me by the fact that he just nuked the friendly Alba, picking up a devastating strike. So, very unfortunately, I am all alone over here at the C cap. However, I am undetected. I do have my turrets pointing over the left side of my stern, and there are some friendly dive bombers that are going to go try to spot the Hwang Hei. You can see here that as I'm circling, he's still inside there, and the dive bombers do manage to get the spot on that guy. So before he's able to smoke up and get away, I dunk a double Citadel 5 over pen kill shot for 11,000 points of damage there on that tier 6 premium Pan-Asian light cruiser. So very good stuff right there. We're still down by a gargantuan amount of points. However, one of the enemy New Mexicos is about to kick the bucket, and a Leander as well is now getting spotted as two of our battleships have pushed into the middle of the B cap. I do have the high explosive loaded, 15 seconds left on the capture of the point, and I'm waiting for this Leander to get taken care of, and then hopefully the smoke screen will run out and I'll be able to ambush the enemy Nicholas that's over here. Only 5 seconds left until I get on the or I get the cap, so that's going to be very nice for our team. And there we go, I do manage to get it, and right as I get spotted, the Nicholas comes out of his smoke screen at point blank range, and this is not going to end well for this tier 5 American destroyer. Get some very good high explosive shots right in. I knock out his torpedo tubes as well. My secondaries are also getting some hits on this guy too, which is kind of funny because the cruiser secondaries aren't generally regarded as the most powerful thing in the game. I do manage to hit him with quite a few more high explosive shots, and then my secondaries managed to finish off the kill there on the Nicholas. So I pick up my 4th kill of the game. I'm up to 85,000 points of damage, and now all of a sudden the enemy team only has 3 ships remaining. So unfortunately, I did have to get off of the C cap to be able to dodge those torpedoes, but of course, as Big Daddy in chat says capture area C, I'm going to give him a confirmation, and I'm going to swing back around to get on the capture point. So far throughout the game, you've seen the potential of the AA, you've seen the great maneuverability that the ship has, you've seen some of the armor-piercing potential, the high explosive alpha strike, the decent fire chance. You know, this ship is in a good place, and I'm very happy that Wargaming decided not too long ago to finally split off the American light and heavy cruiser lines and make them into 2 separate things, because even though the Pensacola was buffed to a pretty decent spot at Tier 7, it just felt really outclassed. And I highlighted this a long time ago, last, I think, November, when the split was first announced, how the Pensacola, just compared to its contemporaries at Tier 7, was a little bit outmatched in the historical department. You know, other Tier 7 cruisers like the Miyoko, you know, you got... what else is there? You got the Fiji, you know, 2 of those ships in particular, you know, they were ships that were designed well into the 1930s, and just comparatively speaking had, you know, much better technology, much better sets of guns, you know, heavier, in the Edinburgh's case, or in the Fiji's case, access to a heel. So even though the Pensacola matched up decently after a slew of buffs for the thing, it just never felt like it was a true contender as a really good cruiser. And you also saw that a lot of people struggled in it, you know, after the Cleveland, because the Cleveland at Tier 6 was borderline overpowered. It was a ship that didn't belong at that tier. And a lot of people really struggled to transition from that light to heavy cruiser playstyle. And I do pick up the solo cap right there, by the way. But, you know, a lot of people had trouble just getting used to that new playstyle with the much slower reload, you know, the bigger guns and the different characteristics of the shells and the crappier concealment, the crappier AA. I'm just glad that they've finally gotten it straight, so now that the progression really feels a lot more streamlined. And then, of course, with the New Orleans at Tier 7, it fits the historical part a lot better because it's a lot more matched up against its contemporaries. Getting the front guns, the armor-piercing shot out at the enemy Alba. Of course, he is cutting away. He's probably dropped his torpedoes because he's only 11 kilometers away, and I'm going to try to turn my rear turrets into play. Again, you can see just how pitiful the turret traverse is, and even with expert marksmen, the ship is still able to outturn its turret traverse in a full turn, which is very unfortunate. Getting the rear turrets into play now. The Alba did switch to armor piercing, but of course I was ready for it, and you can see just how quickly I'm able to turn in. And I dunk a double citadel and a penetration, killing off that tier 6 Japanese heavy cruiser, and I pick up my 5th kill of the game for the Kraken Unleashed. And all there is left is the enemy aircraft carrier, and even though we're still down by almost 250 points, we have the game well in hand, and we are going to capture the A point. So, yeah, right there, another good example of the maneuverability and the very juicy armor-piercing potential that this ship possesses. And, yeah, this was a great game. This was not my highest damaging game so far. I think I've played 6 in the Tier 6 Pensacola to this point, and I have had a higher damaging game. But this one just felt really good, and I felt that it showcased the ship. And, of course, getting a secondary kill was a bit of the meme variety, but hey, I'll take it. So anyway, we're going to go on and win this game. I don't have to show you the rest of the replay. It's just us chasing down the carrier and ending up killing it. So with that being said, we're going to take a look at the post-battle results. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. Almost 100,000 damage dealt. I sank 5 enemy ships, had 10 planes shot down, 5 fires, 4 citadels, 1 solo base cap, and secondary hits. I did pick up, of course, the pretty funny Close Quarters Expert, and of course, Kraken Unleashed. And somehow, if you're looking, I have 13 overpens, 90 penetrations, 27 non-pens, 5 ricochets, and 3 unknown. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea where that comes from. Anyway, taking a look at the team score. 5 kills, of course, with the Kraken. Tops on the leaderboard. I believe I had about 2,200 base experience. I don't remember the exact number, but I was easily tops on the team for this game, and I had a very solid result. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Pardon for the stutter there during the middle of the commentary. I completely lost my train of thought, and, you know, sometimes my mind is just racing, and I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say 2 minutes from now when I'm in the middle of a commentary, so pardon me for that. But those of you that have been around the channel know that I do talk pretty fast, and this happens every now and then, so please bear in mind. Anyway, this is, of course, the Sneaky Snake for BIA World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, subscribing, you know, sharing it with your buddies, whatever you want to do. Thank you for the support that you give us, and have a fantastic day.